Kirby Right Back At Ya is a series I am very familiar with. Despite not being too into the Kirby franchise as a whole, the first Kirby game I actually owned was Forgotten Land for reference, I still watched its anime quite a bit. It's got a lot of that 4Kids cheese the other 4Kids dubs at the time had, except not as distracting because it was already a pretty innocent show for kids. One of the most memorable episodes of this show was Cartoon Buffoon, in which King Dedede forces the entire kingdom to make a cartoon just to boost his ego. It was such a memorable episode and a fun look into the animation process. It's probably the episode the show is most known for. Heck, it even had a really good reanimated collab a few years ago. Now, I would talk about that episode, but A, everyone already knows how good that episode is, and B, not as many people know it had a sequel episode that's really freaking creepy. This is the 89th episode of Kirby Right Back At Ya, titled Tuned Out. The plot's a thing. King Dedede wants to try the cartoon thing again after making the Room of the Kirby universe. But instead of relying on the citizens again, he tells Nightmare Enterprises to conjure up some animators for him. An odd request since he usually uses them to summon like big scary monsters, but let's just say these animators are different types of monsters. These guys are called the Otakings. Cheeky. Alright, before we get into the crap they do, let's roast the hell out of them. They look like Redditors who need to touch grass, end of story. But then they proceed to do what the Discord mods they look like do best. Stalking a minor.
She found it. Bummer. We better split before she sees we're checking her out.
This montage is set off by King Dedede showing off the last cartoon, and they are specifically drawn to Tiff. Also, this scribble of her is their first impression of her, and they're, into her form here. Into her enough to follow her everywhere in this super realistic portrayal of stalking. They secretly record her voice to, quote-unquote, use in the cartoon, take unsolicited pictures of her, follow her from far behind until the breaking point where they spy on her while she sleeps. What makes this scene very eerie is the music that they use and Tiff's super realistic reactions to it. It feels almost straight out of a PSA for stalking and the victims of it. What's really gross though is the cops' reaction to her reporting about this.
I saw him outside your window. Are you sure it wasn't a bad dream?
Yeah, Cappy Town's law enforcement is corrupt. Then again, given their leader, that's not surprising. Other than him though, the other characters actually react in a reasonable and justified way, by ganging up on them and doing what I can only assume is the real-life version of ratioing someone on Twitter. It's honestly kind of crazy how the freaking Kirby anime portrays this issue this realistically. The main crux of this episode is Dedede trying to get these guys to actually make the cartoon his way because they keep wanting to make it about Tiff. We'll come back to them later. So if you couldn't tell by now, this episode has a lot of moments that read in such an interesting way nowadays. Like the previous episode focused on making a cartoon, it has a lot of social commentary on the animation industry. They even portray crunch time again, just like in that episode. Basically, this sales guy wants the cartoon done in 2 days because he totally knows how animation works. Bro doesn't realize that not even South Park is made that fast. And when the crunch time the monsters are put through still makes them just draw Tiff, Dedede opts for a different idea.
Allow me to introduce the legendary Diz Walney!
What? Didn't expect a Disney reference in a Nintendo thing, but here we are. Maybe I wasn't being that far-fetched with that Disney Smash Bros. Video. Heck, this isn't even the only Disney reference in this episode. Earlier on, after the Cappy Town citizens catch the animators, they start suggesting ideas for cartoons, and one of them suggests this.
It's about a robotic space ranger who defends the galaxy from bad guys. But at the end of the show, he finds out he's really just a toy.
Well, hopefully your idea is more successful than Lightyear. It's also interesting how they're hyping up how quickly not Walt Disney can animate when his speed wasn't what he was known for. And the real guy had a whole team of talented animators.
We'll have to produce it using CGI.
The fact that they specifically chose to represent Disney makes a lot of this stuff way funnier. I would nitpick how Walt wasn't even alive when CGI was getting big, but the man was all about new tech and advancing to the future, so I can see him being all over it. This is also an accurate portrayal of what happened to their 2D animation department. What I will fault them for is this.
The animation software uses motion capture data.
Motion capture and CGI are not the same thing. They probably did this because a climactic battle through a motion capture simulation would be a lot more interesting, but still. But yeah, the climax is pretty good. We got DDD using a hammer to bounce Kirby all around the room. Also this line.
The era of hand-drawn animation is over.
Yeah, who needs hands anymore?
Okay, I don't know why people are saying The Simpsons predicted the future when this line has been sitting here since the mid-2000s. Like, I could take that as them referencing Disney killing off 2D or the rise of AI. It's hilarious.
You can make a cartoon in just a few hours, and you don't need to pay any artists anymore.
Okay, I was joking. Stop being even more unintentionally topical. Seriously, I'm fully expecting one of these jokers to write Kirby off for taxes next. But we learned this isn't even the real Diswaldney, because he's actually a Warner Bros. Parody guy. Just kidding, he's a monster. Well, I mean, so blah blah blah, he goes crazy and then starts playing real-life Smash Bros. With Kirby and DDD. Kirby goes Spark Kirby and defeats him. But oh no, now they don't have a cartoon to show in their tight deadline. Time for the sales dude to write DDD off for taxes. He totally looks like he would. Let's admit it. Our only hope left.
It wasn't easy, dude, but we did it. We had to draw it really fast.
But it's way cool.
Okay, y'all knew this was coming if you've seen this episode, so let's cut to the chase. The weebs here make the most stereotypical weeb thing out of Tiff, an overly fan-servicey extravaganza. So basically these guys, these pathetic clowns, spent the whole episode recording Tiff's voice for material against her will, along with taking pictures, all to make this thing. Now, it's not a shock to anyone that 4Kids majorly trimmed down this scene when it aired over here, cutting out the part that showed Tiff having large breasts. Moving on, it's definitely really uncomfortable to look at, especially since Tiff's a child, but these guys' antics are at least never portrayed as a good thing or anything noble to do. Heck, the noble king's jaw drops at the sight of this like it's too far even for him. It's just very shocking to see this coming out of Kirby of all franchises. Kirby does have darker moments, but not this kind. And Tiff and Kirby's reactions looking at this thing just says it all. Also, Tiff's voice during it.
This is an absolutely perfect day for snowing, don't you think so?
Sounds AI generated, which given they were recorded clips of her voice spliced together, I'm not surprised. The episode ends with Tiff being justifiably pissed at them and attacking them, while Kirby just cheers into the oblivion. Puya, we're ratioing the weebs! So bottom line, this episode portrayed corruption in the animation industry, Disney killing off 2D, and an underage girl being stalked and objectified by greasy Discord mod-looking dudes. All in this early 2000s episode of the Kirby anime. Time really is a flat circle. See you next time!